The mental fuel gauge is something that I watch very carefully, and it's something to be very conscious of, especially if you're someone who's hypersensitive to negative emotions, which is a huge percentage of the population. In fact, you need to be like that if you're going to be a hypercreative individual. So they sort of come intertwined. Sorry about that. Yes, this is my scooter protective gear. I do wear that, and I've got my jacket on top. It is very cold, so that explains it. Life is an uncomfortable compromise between doing what you need to do, what you want to do, what you have to do. And what's important though, and how it can best be governed, is via, for those people who have this mindset, who are sensitive to depression and negative emotions, as I said, is via the mental gauge. So let's assume that our mental gauge is here, and it depleted as we do stuff throughout the day. Now, if you find yourself constantly depressed, then you might be down here, and you might just be hanging down here constantly. Whereas what I do my best to do is to be very, very aware of the general mood and general thoughts that are entering my head. If too many negative ones start to come, then I have to stop whatever it is that I'm doing and focus on doing something that builds up that positive energy that's needed to be able to deal with everything else. It's hard to change between, because sometimes you're stuck on something, you want to keep doing it, but it takes a little bit of training, and you try to bit by bit and you end up getting used to it. So, I might be working on my thesis, getting me down. All right, switch and do some languages just for myself for 10, 15 minutes, build it, pick it up. You always want to try and stay in that positive section. As you start to fall here, you'll start to think life is worthless, life is meaningless. What am I doing with myself? This is all pointless. And what happens is that you don't have enough positive energy to counteract the negative energy of nihilism, of depression and pain, anxiety, and everything else that starts to overwhelm you. Up here, they still exist, of course, but you physically think differently. You look at life in a way that's much more positive because you have those positive emotions. So for me, one of those things is to make YouTube videos and Periscope and everything else, and all the blogs I do and stuff like that, writing books, codifying knowledge that is being filtered out of the chaos into my humble, tiny brain. That provides some positive energy. Seeing the Dr. Wisdom, Wednesday Wisdom, also a great thing that helps do the same. Working on my thesis, it's okay. It's okay because we are delaying gratification for an accomplishment. Pretty cool. Doing gym. I went and did gym for 5 minutes, and then just by doing it for 5 minutes, it allowed me to do it for another 5 minutes, and then I did another 3 minutes on top. And that makes me feel great for the day. Then I stretch, and that means that when I go back and do gym again, I don't feel like, I missed out on the whole day, I didn't do gym. I've already done 13 minutes, that's awesome. So now when I go do 10 or 20, it starts to build up. You can do that every day too. A lot of great stuff, but it is a constant visual, and you're monitoring your fuel gauge like you do in the car. But in the car, you don't think about it because you've been doing it from the beginning. That's what you've got to start to do now with your own mind, is you're constantly monitoring, how am I feeling? You can even write it down, make a note, maybe put it in a color or to-do list to check how you're feeling versus the negative thoughts coming into your mind. I love playing the piano, obviously, as you guys know. That helps too.